Today is February 8th. It's the 39th day of the year, and this is the On This Day podcast. If you've been listening since the very first day I started doing this show, some of this may sound a little familiar to you. And if you join the show later on in the run, this will all be new content to you. Either way, I hope you enjoyed today's show. On this day in 1855, footprints appear after a heavy snowfall along the southern coast of England in Devonshire. The tracks go on for miles and are found in a number of locations, beginning the next morning and continuing to appear over the next few days. To call them footprints is not entirely accurate. They more have the appearance of being made by a cloven hoof. And the tracks are not just on the ground or across open fields. They're found on the roofs of houses, along the top of narrow walls, and even in enclosed gardens. Some tracks lead up to walls and then continue on the other side, leaving the snow on top of the wall untouched, as if whatever creature made them passed right through the wall. They look like they were left by a biped, a line of single prints, one in front of another, rather than an animal walking on all fours. No one knows for sure what mysterious creature could have left these prints in the middle of the night that lead right up to the doors of several houses. Some locals believe they are the marks of the devil himself. Or quite possibly the tracks are laid as a hoax, or left by a donkey with an unusual gait. Other animals are suspected, a badger, kangaroo, even mice. But the 4 to 6 inch prints left overnight bear little resemblance to the usual tracks of those animals. It could have been just good old mass hysteria. Every once in a while, a community has to let off some steam. But no one knows for certain who or what left what become known as the Devil's Footprints in Devonshire on this day in 1855, if not the devil himself. On this day in 1950, the government of East Germany forms the Ministry for State Security. It becomes known as the Stasi. The Stasi's primary directive is to spy on the East German population. Through the use of wiretaps and surveillance, and by encouraging neighbors to spy on one another, the Stasi systematically compiles dossiers on citizens they consider to be a threat to the East German Communist Party. Hundreds of thousands of East Germans will become informants on their fellow citizens, and the information collected will be used to oppress the population and discourage free thought. As a result of the Stasi's practices, the East German population lives in fear of their own government. You never know when someone might be listening to your conversation and hearing something they deem to be in opposition to the party line. The Stasi analyzes people's garbage for any trash that might have come from Western products. They break into people's homes and rearrange their furniture, just a little bit, not enough to be noticed, but just enough to make you start to go a little mad. And they keep smelling jars, containing a cloth used to wipe down the interrogation chair where an individual has left their sweat and scent under intense questioning. A cloth that can be used by sniffer dogs to track down an individual who has perhaps distributed flyers or written graffiti critical of the party. Because in communist East Germany, there is no individual. There is only the state. Files are kept on the majority of citizens, files containing billions of pages. When the Berlin Wall falls in 1990, Stasi officials begin destroying the files. That is, until a crowd of protesters outside Stasi headquarters storms the building to see what information about them has been collected in the years since the Stasi is formed on this day in 1950. On this day in 1983, prize-winning Irish racehorse Shergar is stolen from his stable at the Ballymoney Stud Farm in County Kildare, Ireland, by 6 gun-toting kidnappers. The 5-year-old stallion owned by Prince Karim Aga Khan has had a successful career on the track. Shergar wins the Irish Derby and the Epsom Derby in 1981, and that same year is named European Horse of the Year before retiring to the stud farm. His first year as a stud is a productive one. Shergar sires 35 foals. Late at night on this day in 1983, As Shergar rests up for the start of another productive breeding season, 6 masked gunmen drive onto Ballymeny Farm, horse trailer in tow. They approach the home of head groom James Fitzgerald and pull him out at gunpoint, forcing him to load Shergar into their trailer. When they leave, they take Fitzgerald with them for a few hours before giving him the password King Neptune for ransom negotiations and letting him go. Police search the entire country looking for Shergar, every farm, every stable, and every horse trailer. And there are a lot of horse trailers on the road, because the day after the kidnapping is the same day that Goff's Horse Sales is holding the biggest horse auction of the year. And there are trailers traveling to and fro all across the countryside. The kidnappers call with their ransom demands, £2 million. But there's a problem. They assume that Aga Khan is the sole owner of Shergar. But when Shergar is retired to the stud farm, Aga Khan sells ownership shares to a syndicate of 34 members, and the syndicate declines the ransom offer. The negotiations continue, but after 4 days, there's no more word from the kidnappers. No one is ever arrested for the kidnapping of the prize stallion Shergar, but as the years pass, it becomes clear that the likely culprit was the IRA, specifically a special operations unit they formed to conduct kidnappings as a fundraising method. Shergar, kidnapped on this day in 1983, is never seen again. There are 326 days left in the year.